let's get into the giant mailbag.
What crazy thing did City do this week?
It's time for Mattress running the numbers. Ready for the main event?
The main event.
Frequent Miler on the air starts now. Today's main event, the single best $250 credit card wallet for point collectors. That's a mouthful, but today's show is going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be unlike how we usually do things. Nick and I each independently, about 15 minutes before recording the show, came up with our list of cards that would go into a wallet where the maximum annual fee is $250. And we don't know what each other has in our wallets. We're going to be revealing the cards sort of one by one. We'll get into the details of how the reveal is going to go when we get to the main event, but it's going to be fun. So stick around for that section. And first, of course, we have the giant mailbag. Today's giant mail comes from Brett. And Brett had a piece of information for us. He said, in the December Radisson America newsletter, it had the following paragraph. More places to use points in 2023. The new year promises new and exciting travel options for Radisson Rewards America's members. Watch for new opportunities to use your points for award nights at over 7,000 choice hotel brands globally. Thank you for choosing us for your blah, 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 blah. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest, but so this was interesting because it could mean... So, Choice bought Radisson Americas, and we're hoping that they'll convert all our Radisson points to Choice points. And this could mean that. I mean, that would be a way to use your Radisson points at Choice hotels if they do that. It could also mean that they're going to add Choice hotels to Radisson's award search, which would be kind of unfortunate because that might indicate that they're going to move towards Radisson America's rewards program, which is not as lucrative for the point holder as Choices. And I don't know. You have any reactions to that, Nick?
I think I'm still looking. It says look for those opportunities, and my first reaction is, yep, still looking, Radisson. I don't really think that you can read much into their marketing material at this point. I don't know what to expect or what's going to happen. I mean, I'm still hopeful, and in fact, one of the things I had earmarked for question of the week this week was, is there any update on when you'll be able to use Radisson points at Choice or Choice points at Radisson, or if they're going to convert or combine or whatever? And I included that, or I had that shortlisted because we've gotten that question a number of times, and I haven't heard anything. I don't think anybody has heard anything yet. So, I don't know. I feel very lukewarm on what's going to happen there.
Yeah, we don't know anything. So an announcement that something's going to happen, though, that's in itself, well, I guess it doesn't really mean something's going to happen. They intend for something to happen in 2023, whether it really does or not, we'll see.
Right.
But it'll be interesting. Of course, we'll report it when something does happen. Okay, let's move on to what crazy thing
did Capital One do this week? So Capital One this week kind of, it seems like, soft launched the Premier Collection. Now, if you don't remember, they announced a few months back that they're launching this Premier Collection for Venture X cardholders. It's basically an Amex Fine Hotels and Resorts competitor. Chase has had a similar program, Luxury Hotel Collection, I think is what it was called. And there are other things, Virtuoso, other similar preferred partner booking programs and platforms. So Capital One was doing basically the same thing. It sounded like, $100 experience credit on property, maybe an upgrade and late checkout, free breakfast for 2 each day, same types of benefits, a little weaker maybe. And so anyway, they launched it this week, and it seems like it just isn't ready for prime time. I have to say that if I were launching this, I wouldn't have done it yet because it's just not ready yet. The tool seems weak. So, for instance, they're not represented in nearly as many places as competitors like Fine Hotels and Resorts or Chase Luxury Hotel Collection, which if they're building something from the ground up, might be understandable. And you could forgive the fact that they're not located in as many cities or they don't have as many properties. And in fact, you might even find that to be a positive because they have a lot of properties that I haven't seen before in those other tools. So if you're looking for a breath of fresh air, it might be in there in some of the hotels that are in there. On the flip side, if you're looking for properties where you don't have a lot of name recognition, again, well, I guess that might be a good thing for you. For me, I'd kind of like to have heard of the hotels before in general, but at the same time, I guess that's going to vary based on your preferences. There aren't a lot of big chains in there, but more importantly, some of the difficulties are that when you go to search, the search tool just isn't put together very well. It seems like the programming was like not quite finished yet. For instance, I looked up Santorini and it came up with no results. And so I looked up Ia, the famous tourist city in Santorini rather, and it came up with no results. And then I started to type in Greece, and if I had gotten all the way to Greece, I think it would have come up with no results. But when I got the GREE in, it auto completed Greek islands, which isn't a search I ever would have performed. But wouldn't you know it, there's 4 different hotels in Ia on Santorini. So you wouldn't have found them if you had searched in the ways that I would typically search. And that was not at all the only location where that became an issue. There's also a lot of hotels that show up in the tool but have no available dates. And I searched, like, in some cases, dozens of dates over the course of the year just to try to find any date or set of dates where there was availability, and there was none. So it seems to me like maybe they're still in the process of onboarding those hotels and just haven't finalized what's going on there yet. So all of that seemed a little, again, just unfinished. And then the thing that bothered me, I think, the most is that the $100 experience credit, we know from Fine Hotels and Resorts and Chase Luxury Hotel Collection, varies. Sometimes you can use it for dining. Sometimes it's only for spa services. Sometimes it's like a limo pickup at the airport or a dinner at the hotel. Well, with Capital One, it mentions the $100 experience credit in a couple of places, but you won't notice unless you scroll all the way to the bottom and you find the tiny little print at the bottom that you then have to expand in order to read that it says, in short, to paraphrase, if you want to know what's included in the credit, you can either reach out to the hotel directly or find out at check-in. So they don't tell you what it's going to be. So there's no recourse if you got there and the hotel's like, oh yeah, we've got this marked up bottle of wine for you. That
I have a vague memory. I'm not sure I'm remembering it right, but when they first revealed their plans to do this, that I think they said that that dining was always going to be an option, something like that. I remember them.
They don't say that in
in
the fine print now.
I totally believe that. I'm just saying that I think they promised it was going to be more usable than Amex's version, but it sounds like they're not there yet. So it'll be interesting to see, like, is the crazy thing simply that they released it to the website before it was really ready and they're planning on doing a lot more? Or is this really what they're going to launch with? And then that would be crazier, I'd say, than an accidental release.
It would be, because I mean, I can forgive the fact that it probably takes forever to collect all that information. Like Amex has had years to collect, which hotels are going to offer which benefits and maintain that and build up whatever tech is necessary for that. So I can understand that it probably takes a lot to get, with all of these different brands and hotels and whatnot, and figure out what they're going to offer for their $100 experience credit, get it communicated back, get the copy person writing it and the coding person to put it in the website, and blah, blah, blah. And how are we going to update that? Like, there's a lot of different ins and outs, and I can appreciate that, but to not list it at all and just be like, okay, well, you'll find out when you get there. It might, and it basically says it might be dining, it might be spa, it might be something else. It's like very much it could be this, or it could be that, or it could be another thing, but you'll find out when you find out. So
all right, well, so Capital One made it to our crazy this week. What's next on our agenda today?
Mattress running the numbers. So this week's Mattress running the numbers, we have a potentially lucrative Wyndham promotion.
Yeah, so Wyndham is out with an all-inclusive promotion for the Ultra brand. So Ultra is their all-inclusive, or an all-inclusive brand from Wyndham. I don't know if they have more than one. But the promo lets you earn 5 times the points for your stay, plus get $100 property credit during your stay. So just to explain what 5 times points means mathematically, normally you get 10 points per dollar with Wyndham. So theoretically, that means you'll earn 50 points per dollar with the stay. And I'm guessing you know why I'm saying theoretically.
Well, 50 points per dollar seems quite generous since we, do value Wyndham points. I don't know. I didn't check the reasonable redemption value, but just like my, thumb in the wind, so to speak, measurement is usually about 1 cent per point. So that'd be like getting what, 50 cents
It'd
back?
be about getting 50% of your stay back if you value them at a
Right.
penny each. Yeah.
Yeah. So that seems overly generous, doesn't it?
Yeah. And, keep in mind that Wyndham has a history of doing portal promotions where they advertise 5x points and they've never, ever
Ever.
delivered 5x. Like
No.
they have some multiple that is not consistent, but it's never exactly 5 points, 5 times the normal points that you get. So
No.
Wyndham's ability to do math, we've talked about before on past shows, is suspect.
Really
I don't know
suspect.
how many points per dollar you'd really get with this promotion.
Nobody does. And nobody ever does with Wyndham, right? I mean, like
Right.
if anybody from like, I don't know, the whatever, government agencies regulate finances for these major corporations is listening, you might want to look at Wyndham's books because they can't do any math. I mean, like, who knows what's going on there? Because it never works out right. So I would not go into this expecting 50. I mean, they'll give you 5 times something, whether that's 5 times
but it might be a
two,
fraction.
It might be a fraction.
5 times that, but we just don't know.
Right.
That said, it'll probably be a bigger than usual number.
Bigger than usual. That's what you can count on with Wyndham. Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah.
All right. So if they really give you 5x points, $100 property credit, and you want to stay at one of, I think there's only 3 all-inclusive ultra brands right now. They're all in Mexico. If you want to stay at one of them, what do you think? Is it worth going out of your way for this promo?
Going out of your way? No, I wouldn't go out of my way because I have no idea what you're really going to end up with. I'm sure it will be more than usual, like you said. I mean, Wyndham doesn't completely lie. It's just never clear. So yeah, I wouldn't go out of my way because who knows what you're going to get. I mean, like, it sounds funny and it sounds like we're joking and we're being lighthearted about it. But the truth is, I really don't know what you'll end up getting. Like, even when it's really clear on the shopping portal and it's like, 10x, it's never exactly 10 times what I spent before shipping, after shipping, with tax, without tax, with this fee or that. Like, you can never figure it out. It doesn't ever quite line up. So I wouldn't have a lot of faith in it being 50 points per dollar. Now, that said, as crazy as that kind of sounds, like, that wouldn't be unheard of. It would be unheard of, but not like outlandishly unheard of in Hilton world, right? Don't we sometimes see 44 points per dollar from Hilton? Maybe we've even seen 54. And when I say that, I mean with like the paying with the card and the hotel promo,
right, because they have like sometimes like triple point promo, and then when you add in the points per dollar from the card. Now in this case, if you're getting 50x and paying with the Wyndham card, you're getting a lot more than 50 points per dollar.
True.
So
58.
It would be a huge rebate. It wouldn't be worth doing just for a mattress run, like, because you're not going to get more value back than what you started unless you count the value of the stay itself. But still, that could be a great rebate on a potentially nice stay. I have no idea if these resorts are good, but if they are, could be good. So, hey, if anyone does this, if anyone listening actually does this, please let us know how many points you actually get. Is it actually 50 times? Is it some other number? Let us know. Email it to mailbag@frequentmiler.com. We look forward to hearing what your results are. And it could make not only the mailbag, but the What Crazy Thing recap of a future show.
Both. Absolutely. All right. So I guess that brings us, I think, to the main event, right?
Yeah, we're going to skip awards book this week because we've got a great main event that we just can't wait to get to. Today's main event, the single best $250 credit card wallet for point collectors. So I'm going to explain what we're doing here, and then we'll get into this. So here's the rules. Nick and I each had to separately come up with an ideal wallet, but there were some rules. You can only pick cards where the rewards are transferable to like airline and hotel programs. And it could be that they're indirectly transferable. For example, Capital One's cashback cards, you can move them to a card that earns miles and then transfer them. And so those are okay as long as you include in your wallet a miles earning Capital One card, right?
Right.
And you can't cheat by saying, oh, my spouse has a miles card, so it doesn't count. The other thing, I guess I should have started this up front, the total annual fees can't exceed $250. So the idea for this was generated from a post Nick wrote about the Amex Gold card and whether he was going to dump it or not. That's $250 annual fee card. You can't use rebates to lessen the annual fee. So, for example, you can't say, I'm going to pick the Sapphire Reserve $550 card because it has a $300 rebate. That's not allowed in this game. Yeah, I think that's the rules, right? So those are the rules. And then what we're going to do is we are going to tell each other one by one which card we'll use for different categories of spend. So for example, we'll say what will you use at gas stations, what we'll use at grocery stores. And we're going to switch the order. Like for example, Nick will say first what he'll use at gas stations, then I will, then I'll say what I'll use at grocery stores, and he will. And we don't know what each other's going to do, but to keep each other honest right now, we are going to email each other our list of cards.
Hold on, because I got a game time swap in, so don't hit send yet.
Okay, I won't hit send
yet. Go ahead.
Nick's doing a last second swap. We're going to email it to each other, not read the emails yet, but it's a way of keeping us honest because I imagine that as we go, one of us is going to say, oh, I forgot about that card. I should have had it in my wallet. And we might be tempted, if we didn't do this email, to kind of slip it in and pretend that we already had it. So we're not going to be able to do that. Are you ready to email?
No, I'm not. Hold on a second. I just
He's
came up with one. Okay.
On
No, yeah. Okay. So I think I'm done. All right. I just needed to make a last minute because I forgot that I had made a change that changed my annual fee outlook. So all right.
So keep in mind, listeners, that we came up with this game about 15 minutes before we started recording the show. Scrambled to put together our notes. And I think in a way that makes this more fun. I mean, we're both susceptible to having major misses.
Sure.
And so it should be fun for you too, to be like, whoa, why didn't you include, card A, B, or C?
For sure.
All right.
Okay, I'm ready.
To email?
I'm ready.
Right. I'm hitting send now.
Go.
All right.
There you go.
I'm not going to read my email.
Not looking. No cheating here. All right.
Right.
You look like you're looking at your screen though.
Yeah.
Well, all around.
That's where I kept my notes of what I'm gonna do. So I have to bring up my sent mail. Whoops, that was bad planning on my part. So bring up my sent mail and not look at the other thing. Okay, I've got it. All right, let's get started. Nick, what are you going to use at gas stations?
Use the MX Everyday Preferred at gas stations. It earns 2 points per dollar ordinarily, but if I do 30 transactions a month, which I'll have to make sure that I do, then I'd earn 3x at gas stations with the Everyday Preferred. It's a $95 annual fee.
All right. So Nick, right out of the gate, spent $95 of his $250. I'm going to use the City Premier card, which also earns 3x at gas stations, doesn't require any particular spend to get there, and it's also $95. So we both, right out of the gate,
$95 cards,
$95.
Yeah. All right. So it makes me wonder about the rest of the strategy here. I'm kind of curious to hear what else you're going to have going on if you started with that.
Same. I'm pretty surprised by your pick, but okay. The next category is grocery stores. I'm going to use the fee-free City Custom Cash for the first $500 in spend each billing cycle. That'll give me 5 points per dollar. It does require a City Premier card to make the points transferable, but I already picked that as my gas category, so I've got that. And you're going to be surprised what I'm going to move to for my spend. when when I exceed $500, you probably think I'm going to switch to my Premier card. But no, I'm going to switch to the Saver One fee-free card, which earns 3 points per dollar, 3% back at grocery stores. And I'm also going to have sort of in my wallet, I won't really carry it around, but the fee-free Spark Miles Select card from Capital One. That way, my Saver One points will be transferable to miles and hotel points.
Smart play. So I mentioned that I made a change right before we hopped in, and that was to add the everyday preferred. So I tossed that in the first line in the gas, and I didn't put it in here, but I assumed it was implied that I would use that card for the first $6,000 per year in grocery spend, because of course it earns 3 points per dollar, and with the 50% bonus, it would earn 4.5. So again, that's 4.5 membership rewards points per dollar, as long as I do those 30 transactions, which now that I'm using it on gas and grocery, I think should make that a little bit easier. But once I exceed the 6,000, because I surely will at the grocery store, I also have the Saver One on my list. So I think that was a smart play from Greg. I'm going to say it was a smart play from Greg because if he had a very city-centric strategy, I was going to tear him apart on a poor set of transfer partners. So he opened up some better transfer partners. Now, what I particularly like about the Saver One play is that, like Greg said, you can get a fee-free card with it. I had listed the Venture One card, which is just basically the consumer version of a miles card that enables transfers to partners with no annual fees. So I could have the Saver One and the Venture One card and still transfer to all of Capital One's partners. Now, what I like about my strategy so far over Greg's is that Capital One's transfer partners and Amex's transfer partners play together really well. There are very few gaps when you have those two together. You're getting just about all of the best airline programs out there. Now, you've got a decent combo with Citi and Capital One, and you have some overlap with like Turkish, but you're missing some of Amex's strengths, Greg.
Yeah. And I should note my notes said I would have either the Venture One or the Spark Miles Select.
Okay.
I simplified things when I was talking, but yes,
I have to admit, I totally forgot about the Spark Miles Select.
Either one makes your points transferable, so that's cool. All right, let's move on to dining. What do you have for dining?
Saver One, 3X. So that's again, 3X category on the Saver One. The Saver One, again, is the annual fee free version of the Saver. There's a Saver with a $95 fee, but I didn't pick that one. I picked the Saver One, which only earns 3X. If you read my post this week, you'll see that I said in there that I would probably carry that over the Saver card, because I don't find the Saver card to be worth $95 for just 1% more on dining and the other associated categories. So Saver One.
All right. So my pick is really the reason I came up with this whole idea of emailing each other, because this is one I think you're going to say, oh, I forgot all about that. I'm going to use Built to get 3 points per dollar, because that'll give me better transfer partners and different transfer partners like American Airlines that you don't have from other cards. And it'll give me the ability to earn points for rent as well. So there's that extra gimme from the Built card.
That's right. And if you only rent it, I would find that to be a brilliant strategy. Otherwise, you're going to have to eat your way to a good American Airlines award over the course of the next few years, probably. But hey, I don't know. Maybe you eat a lot more than I would imagine you eat, and so maybe you will get yourself, business class across the Pacific, and the next year or two. But
all right, so the Built card is also fee free. So I think we're both still at $95, right?
We are.
Yep, both at $95. All right, let's get to travel. My pick for travel expenses is the Inc. Business Preferred, $95 to get 3 points per dollar for all travel.
Interesting. I'm kind of surprised that you didn't go with your City Premier and pick something else here. You're trying to dip your toes in all of the currencies you can, huh? That makes some sense with your Built card pick. Well, so my pick for travel was the Amex Green card, which earns 3X on most types of travel. It's a select travel and select transit, but surely hotels and flights are going to be included in that 3X. And then, of course, I want to mention with this, and this wasn't listed as one of our categories, but the Saver One card card, which we both have, also covers entertainment. And that's worth mentioning because somebody commented just the other day on a post to say that that a lot of times tour companies code as entertainment rather than as travel. And, Greg mentioned that he had spent money on a cruise, a ferry cruise, sort of a cruise, overnight cruise in New Zealand, and it didn't code as travel. And I wonder if it may have coded as entertainment on a Capital One card for 3X. So,
yeah, maybe.
So I would mix that in when I think entertainment is what's going to be triggered by the travel item. Otherwise, Amex Green Card, which has a $150 annual fee. So boom, I'm out of annual
maxed out.
fee. Maxed
Unless
out.
you could find a $5 annual fee card.
Right.
All right. So Nick is at $245.
That's right.
If I'm doing the math right. I'm at $190. The next category is phone and internet. What are you going to use to pay for those?
I'm going to use the Blue Business Plus. Now, originally, when I started devising this strategy, I had the Wyndham Earner business card in for gas and for this, figuring that played really nicely with my Capital One strategy, since it earns 8X on gas and 5X on office supply stores. And I figured, that works well since I'm earning Capital One points. But then Greg reminded me of the rules that they have to be transferable currencies. And so that's why I kind of threw things up in the air for me a few minutes before we started. So I'm going to go with the Blue Business Plus for 2X.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to pick the Wyndham card for gas as well, but couldn't do it.
Right.
Okay, you're going to get 2X.
2X.
I'm going to get the Inc. Cash card, of course. The Inc. Business Cash, earn 5X. It has no annual fee, and it's transferable because I have the Inc. Business Preferred for travel.
Well played.
Thanks. And I felt like this category was important to discuss, not because people spend a lot in office supplies stores normally, but we write all the time about fee-free Visa gift cards at Staples and discounted gift cards at Office Depot, and also at Staples you can buy all kinds of gift cards, both online and in person, for different stores, and get 5 points per dollar. Well, I could get 5 points per dollar for all those things. Nick can get 2 points per dollar, but maybe get some extra if there's a good Amex offer
maybe
available. So
maybe.
Okay.
Thanks for the consolation prize there. You threw me a bone there. Maybe you'll get an Amex offer, Nick. Good luck.
The next category is what's your everywhere else card? So for the categories not listed, what card do you whip out? And I think it's my turn to go first. I'm going to use the Amex Blue Business Plus card to get 2 points per dollar for my first 50K of spend. And if I happen to exceed that, I'll switch to my double cash, City double cash, to get 2 points per dollar as well, but that's uncapped. So, with my strategy, as Nick sort of pointed out, I'm kind of playing the field. So I've got points from Citi, I've got points from Chase, I've got points from Capital One, and I've got points from Bilt. So I've really got pretty much the whole gamut. What do you have for your everywhere else?
Well played. My goodness, Greg really outplayed me here. Of course, I've got the Blue Business Plus also for 2X on the first 50K and spend every year. I wouldn't naturally have more than 50K in everywhere else spend per year usually. So that would cover me in terms of my everywhere else spend. But I have to admit, I'm liking Greg's strategy. I knew the double cash was coming for sure there. I didn't see him grabbing the Blue Business Plus, but it makes sense because you don't need any Amex cards with an annual fee in order for the points to be transferable. So it makes sense that you would have that card in there to diversify your point strategy. It's a great idea.
Thanks. It also gives me, of course, opportunities to get Amex offers. It gives me also the ability to do the Rakuten shopping portal and get membership rewards points from that. So there's a lot of reasons to have fee-free Amex membership rewards cards.
Yeah.
All right, we have one more category, which is all the extra cards that you could throw in because they have no annual fee, but they do have transferable points. Do you have like a short list of what you would?
It's real short. Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing else.
Is that right?
Well,
Okay.
because I can't, right? Because so with Capital One, there's nothing else that would
Okay.
matter,
Right.
right?
Right.
And so there's no other fee-free cards that offer anything. And with Amex, there's nothing again any better than what I already have. So I was stuck without anything else. I was going to mention the entertainment category and the Saver One here, but I already did. The one thing I didn't mention, but again, it applies to both of us so far, is the Saver One is also a MasterCard, I believe. So that's something going for it in terms of being able to link it up with Simply Miles for American Airlines offers, and also I think there's well, no, that's that for that. I should mention though, on Greg's side with the Inc. Business Preferred, he also gets access to Visa Savings Edge. So there's another way to save a little bit potentially on some lodging if you're staying in a Wyndham property, for instance. I believe they have
Yeah.
a little discount through that. So all right, here's where you list off all of the other cards that you're going to have to just bury me in this competition. Go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. So of course I'm going to get the rewards plus fee-free card from Citi because that'll give me a 10% rebate on rewards, up to 100,000 points redeemed each year. I'm going to get the Amex Everyday card just because I can, and it'll give me access to more. Well, it'll give me access to more Amex offers because some Amex offers are targeted specifically to personal cards. And so far, I only have a business card. So that's the reason for that.
Fair enough.
I'm going to get the Chase Freedom Flex card so that I have access to 5x rotating categories, 3x drugstore. And I'm going to get the Business Unlimited card because I can. And I can also then product change it to an cash to get more capacity of 5x. And finally, I'm going to get the Freedom Unlimited just in case I ever want to earn 1.5 ultimate
Just
rewards
in
points per
case.
dollar.
Just for good measure, just to toss one more. It is amazing to look at that wallet. I mean, like
That
all
is a big fat
laughter
wallet.
aside, that is quite a wallet and quite a lot of earning power with very little in it. I feel like we often talk about things like the Amex Platinum card and the Chase Sapphire Reserve and all these cards with higher annual fees. But my goodness, with $250, that is a killer wallet.
Yeah, yeah, and it actually came in under $190 for the wallet I
$190.
just described. Now, is it realistic to, sign up for all those cards? I mean, I guess I actually personally have probably almost all of them except for the Capital One ones. But so I guess you could get them over time. You wouldn't be able to get them all at once. That would be a hard sell to the credit card companies.
Right. Right. But I mean, that would cover most of the categories in which most people are ever going to spend much and be a decent amount of points each year, probably. Between the Ink Cash, which you covered how you could strategically end up with two of those for more bandwidth at 5x, and the uncapped 3x on the Saver One at grocery stores. I mean, my goodness, you could generate a fair amount of points every year just on those two cards.
Yeah.
And then, everything else will just kind of fall into place, right?
Yeah, yeah. So I like it. We'll publish it somewhere on the web as well. Maybe in the Saturday post, the actual picks that we each did, so that people can reference them.
Yeah. I think that was
yeah.
that was darn good. I want to see somebody beat Greg. I want to see somebody with a better strategy than Greg had. So if you've got a different combo for your wallet that, again, up to $250 in annual fees, have to be transferable points. And if you need another card in order to transfer them, you got to account for that card. But if you got something better, I'm very curious to hear it because, wow, that was pretty darn good.
Yeah. You know what? It occurs to me, I forgot to mention one thing that for my everywhere else, I would probably use Built on the first day of each month because they have that double points thing or whatever. So I'd get at least 2 points per dollar with the Built card on those days.
Very good. All right. Yeah. Excellent. Wow. He's just like rubbing salt in the wound over here with the other. He's like, yeah, we're Rente. We're gonna do that, right?
Yeah.
Here's a little bit more. Yeah. We got 6x on restaurants. Yeah. That's okay. Well, very good. Greg had a great strategy there. All right. I think that brings us then to this week's question of the week. Am I right?
Yep.
So this week's question of the week came in from a reader via email at the mailbag at frequentmiler.com email address from a reader who is planning to take a round the world cruise. And so this cruise is going to be quite expensive, $100,000 for this round the world year-long cruise, I think. And so she says she doesn't know which credit card to use. She can add a new card to her portfolio. And she listed out cards that she has and points balances that she has to kind of give an idea of what she's got. But I'm really curious, Greg, if you had a very large expense like this, like $100,000 cruise, what card would you use and what things would come into mind in terms of deciding? Because maybe it's not clear which one exactly, but what are some things you would consider in determining what the best card is? And I asked that both for this specific example of the cruise, and also we had a similar question come in via Frequent Miler Insiders this week with someone who had a large tax burden, $150,000, and wanted to know the card strategy for that. And so I'm curious, A, what you would use for the expensive, long around the world cruise, and B, if your strategy would differ and how if you had a large tax burden like that.
Yeah. That's a great question. So if we don't consider things like welcome bonuses and short-term promos where you might be getting an extra point per dollar on a card or something like that, don't consider any of that. I think I would use the Sapphire Reserve card and get 3 points per dollar for travel and also great trip protections. Like I almost feel like if you're going to be spending that much on a cruise, it's worth getting the Sapphire Reserve if you don't already have it. So you could, get that combination of 3 points per dollar of valuable ultimate rewards points and great trip protections.
So that was my initial thought. And then here was my hesitation with that.
Okay.
I thought to myself, yeah, if I'm going to spend $100,000 on a cruise, I want it protected as well as possible. So that was my first thought. My second thought was, well, whoever charges $100,000 for a cruise must include some sort of protection, right? So I thought maybe you already have some sort of travel protection built into it. But more importantly, the Sapphire Reserve travel protection caps out at $20,000 a person. So if you're talking about $100,000 for two people, you're only really going to be protected for $40,000 worth of expenses with the Sapphire Reserve. So I would probably only want to put, again, if it's for two people, $40,000 of that on a Sapphire Reserve. Then I don't know, I guess what happens if you pay for 40 with player two's Sapphire Reserve or Ritz card or something? I don't know. Does that work?
Well, let me ask you. So, I think what you just argued is good reason maybe to pay for travel insurance if it's not included in the $100K.
Yeah.
But wouldn't you still use the Sapphire Reserve?
Yeah.
If you're not but my first thought, even before thinking of the Sapphire Reserve, is I would look at all those big, especially business card offers right now, like the business platinum that requires 15K spend, the Ink Unlimited and the Ink Cash that both require, 6K spend each. And get as many of those as possible, especially with Amex, like you're likely to get an offer for another one as soon as you do the first one. And I have to imagine that any company that's charging $100,000 would gladly take your payments in small increments, 6K at a time, whatever. So you could get so many welcome bonuses with that spend, and it would be worth paying for the insurance separately.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
Get all that. For sure. You could totally clean up.
Yeah. So obviously it depends somewhat on how many cards you're willing to open. But like Greg said, if you're willing to open 10 different cards, then you could earn a phenomenal amount of points and end up with thousands of dollars back on this $100,000 cruise. And that's, I'm not exaggerating at all. You can probably exceed $10,000 worth of rewards back.
I think easily. Yeah. Easily. If you averaged 100,000 points per card, which I think is probably a low estimate, because remember, you're also earning points from the spend, not just the bonus. I think you're going to have over 1 million points easily by the time you make that spend. Yeah.
Right. So I think that'd be a great strategy. The other thing, if you're not looking to open many cards, if that doesn't appeal to you, the other thing, since this reader did mention they have until June to figure this out. So the other thing I would consider is hanging around and waiting to see when Capital One increases the bonus on the Spark Miles card and the Spark Cash card, because those bonuses sometimes go to $3,000 or $300,000 or 300,000 points after 50K spent in the first 6 months. So if you were to get one or both of those cards and put the, divide the $100,000 charge over just those two cards, then you'd be looking at potentially, $6,000 or more worth of, points.
That's a great point. Yep.
So that'd be another strategy. How about for taxes? Would it differ at all if you had taxes? I mean, I agree with you probably with the cruise. It would just be worth paying for the travel insurance at that point.
Yeah. I mean, taxes is a little different because you do have to pay the, around 2% fee, but still it's worth it for sign-up bonuses. The other thing with taxes is you're limited to a total of 6 payments using the credit card processing companies, because 2 per credit card processor. So that could, limit it in some ways, but still, I think overall I would do the same thing of get as many big welcome bonuses as possible.
Yeah, somebody reached out to me to ask me about the best card to pay taxes with over the Christmas holiday season. I said I would get the Business Platinum card, and if it's more than 15K, I'd get the Business Platinum card to start. I mean, and the 150,000 points that you can frequently or easily get with that, or targeted offers that may even be better. So that was my first thought with that too. The other thing with the 6 payments via the official payment processors is obviously a limitation, but if you're earning welcome bonuses, it might be worth using a service like Plastique, however you pronounce it. Even though the fee is like around 3% now, that will be worth it if you're earning a welcome bonus that's potentially worth 10 or 20 or percent or more, depending on what the spending requirements and bonuses on the card that you're opening. So
that's right. That's right. Totally true. And with both of these, the amount spent on the fees, counts towards the spend required for the sign-up bonus too. So just keep that in mind that for example, if you need to spend $15,000 in order to meet the sign-up bonus, you have to spend, let's say 2% less than that on taxes, and then the extra fee will get you up to that 15,000. So obviously do the math ahead of time, make sure that works out. That should work.
All right. So there's some strategies for the big spenders out there. Unfortunately, we are out of time. If you've enjoyed today's show and you'd like to get more of this in your email inbox each day or each week, you want to go to frequentmiler.com/subscribe. Again, that's frequentmiler.com/subscribe. You can follow us on all the various social media. Join our Frequent Miler Insiders Facebook group. I should have said this at the beginning, but wherever you're listening to this or watching this, give us a like, a thumbs up, leave us some feedback. We always love to hear from you. Leave a comment if you got a question, etc. If you have a question you'd like to be considered for a future episode, you want to send that into
mailbag@frequentmiler.com.
Thank you. We'll see you next time.